we're going to replace this ceiling fan with one I purchased from Home Depot. There's a beautiful installation video about this Home Depot fan already, and the guy covers everything in terrific detail. So I'm going to go over the few tricky things and showing you what you're faced with when you uninstall the old fan. And then you guys can put that all together if you're interested in one of these fans. This fan with the light assembly is pretty heavy, so unless you've got an assistant, it might make sense to take it apart. You can remove the light kit pretty easily. You could also take the blades off. And you can, once you have loosened the wires, you can disconnect the down rod there and get it out. So first thing we're going to do is take this little cover off. So if you loosen those two screws, they're set up so that they turn and the cover pops down. And this reveals the wires. White, black for hot, and green for ground. So the first thing we're going to do is test these. This bracket here actually looks like it might work for the new fan. So I'll compare the brackets when I have them down. Now, I don't know if you can tell from here, but there's a metal box in the ceiling. That's something I did a few years back. The original fan housing wasn't very supportive, so I was able to get attic access and put a beefier fan box in there that'll support a greater weight. So let's check these for power. Here's my little non-contact voltage tester. Klein tools. I highly recommend something like this. I've deliberately left the power on at the switch just to see how useful this sucker is. So we're on the neutral wire right there, staying green. We're on the ground wire right there, and then this is the hot. So you can see how useful this is. Incidentally, the blue wire is one going to the light kit. So we have a black coming in, power from the house, a black going to the fan assembly, and the blue going to the light kit. Because there's only one switch on the wall for this fan. And this is part of the reason we're replacing this fan, because you got to turn the switch on, and then you got to pull on the strings to turn the light on, turn the fan on, change the fan speed. So our new fan, thankfully, has an included remote control, and you'll be able to change the fan speed and dim the lights even using the remote control. So you just have to leave the wall switch in the on position. Okay, I turned the switch off at the wall, and now we're checking our hot wire. So we are good. If in doubt, you should turn the breaker off that controls whatever circuit this is on to be super safe. However, we're good in this case, as long as nobody walks in the room and flips the switch while I'm working, of course. Okay, we've disconnected the wires. I've left the wire nuts on the household wiring, and these other wires are free. So now essentially the fan is disconnected from the house. Now with this style of mounting bracket, that ball is slipped into that bracket. So when I lift up, now the fan is free, and I'm going to lower it. Like I said, it's pretty heavy and bulky. You can dismantle it, you can take the blades off, you can take the light kit off if you so choose, to reduce the weight and make it a little more user-friendly. But I'm going to have my assistant give me a hand, and we'll just get this sucker down in one go. Okay, these are the brackets, the new one and the old one. They're almost identical, and it looks like they both would work. However, the screws on this one are slightly different design for holding the cover on than the old one, which is just a regular Phillips screw. Also, the little rubber pads on the bottom of this, they're designed to dampen the vibrations from the fan a little bit, provide a cushion between the metal box and the fan. They're pretty flat and thin, and of course the ones on the new bracket are quite thick, so clearly I'm going to use the new bracket instead of using the old one. I mean, 2 screws, 2 minutes, easy operation, so why not, right? Okay, we got a small problem already. The original ground wire coming from the house just snapped. There was kind of a kink on there, and when I tried bending it back, it snapped like that. The other thing I noticed was it was not attached to the ground screw in the box, which I have removed. One of those holes up there takes the ground screw. Excuse the lighting. Let me point to where it would go. Ground screws right in that spot where the wire is. So I'm gonna rig this up so the box is grounded to the incoming ground from the house and the fan also. So let me do that. Okay, so I started by cannibalizing the old ground wire. See how on the new bracket there's a little lug, a little screw, and then a pigtail for ground. And the old bracket had one too. So I stole that and put it inside the box and attach it to the ground screw. So now the box will be grounded, and then the ground from the household supply, the ground from the box will connect to the ground for the fan. So before we install the fan hardware, this box here fits close to the ceiling above the fan inside the bracket that's attached to the box, right? And then that's connected to the fan via this lead. So our white and black wires will be connected to the household supply, and then this will be connected to the fan. Now if you look in there, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 little buttons, little dip switches, and now if you look at your remote, it has the corresponding switches. So if you've purchased several of these fans, you want your codes to be different so that they match each other, but they do not turn on and off any other fans you have anywhere else in the house. So I'm going to leave these as they are because it's the only fan of this kind I've got, but that is something to note. If you have several of these fans in your house, you will have to change those, and you'll have to get back up into the ceiling to change this one unless you do it before the install. Again, that's on this fan, Merwry. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Quick note, as you start assembling the fan, you want to make sure you get these 3 pieces of trim on there now before you reattach the ball and hang it. Otherwise you'll be doing it twice. Now in fairness, it does say that pretty clearly in the instructions on page 9. Okay, we got our wiring done. Not gonna lie, a little bit of a pain. See how the control box is slid inside the bracket. Oh, maybe I should make sure the power is off. Anyway, it's working. A little bit tricky getting that in there, but it does fit in there properly. A little snug, and then the loose wires will be contained inside this trim ring. Okay, I've seen some questions online about not being able to remove the shade after you get it in. So when you install it, you want to line up the arrows, black arrow there, black arrow there, and you can see there's kind of a bump on the housing, and that bump is what slides into this channel. So if you line up the bump with the arrow and then turn the shade this way, see how the channel is getting narrower, making the shade tighter. So let's give it a shot. A couple of people online are saying they're unable to remove this. I don't know why. So let's see what happens. One-handed. Up it goes. There's some play. As as we continue to turn, it gets a little tighter going up in that direction. So, and same thing for getting it out. So in this case it's lefty-loosey. No, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey if you're upside down. So pretty straightforward, looks like. Line up the bumps, line up the arrow, and then turn it clockwise, and it gradually tightens. So that's it. So next, the blades. Okay, our fan is in. The light switch is on. The remote is here. Kind of cheap feeling remote. Buttons push big. Let me see if I can get it to where we can see everything. Light, on, off. Light on, and then if you hold the button, it will dim the light. Like that, and long press it again, brings up to full brightness. Let me get a better angle on this. There we go. So, light, off, fan. Okay, when I push low, then the fan comes on. Push medium, you can hear it spin up. Push high. Seems like it turns off for a split second and then on. Back to medium. Yeah, off for like a second and then on. No change there, and then off. Click, and now silence. So that's it in operation. Hi, I'm just adding a section to this video because we had a problem with this fan. The Merwry, I think is how you pronounce it. Anyway, just before I published the video, the problem was, and I've seen this on, I think on Home Depot's website in the Q&A, some people had some problems with this. The fan would turn on by itself. So without you touching the remote, the fan would just come on. The fan and the light came on, and the fan came on high. Now, at one point during the making of the video, during the installation, I show, I'm actually surprised, I don't have the blades on yet, but the fan starts spinning. And I thought I had maybe bumped the receiver or something, you know, I wasn't quite sure why that happened. But after the fan was completely installed, that happened several more times, and it would come on just out of the blue. So I did some research. This could have happened, for example, if I had another one of these fans in the house, or perhaps my next door neighbor had a fan in the room closest to me, and the dip switches, as I pointed out earlier in the video, the little dip switches in the remote and on the receiver had not been changed and were, you know, on the same wavelength, so to speak. That could have happened, but that wasn't the case here. So I contacted customer support at Service at Summer Wind. Summer Wind, I guess, is the manufacturer. I found that in the manual, and they were really cool. They called the device in the ceiling the receiver, and what they did for me after describing the condition was they sent out a new receiver and remote for free that were paired together already. So I did have to climb up there and get the old receiver out, the one with the dip switches, and I put a new one in. I'll put a photo of that here. I threw the old one away, so I can't show you, but however, it was faulty. So they're already paired. There are no dip switches. You just install it and then you use the remote as you normally would. I do have the old remote. They didn't ask for that back. I haven't tried to use it with the fan. I don't need two remotes, but I'm going to guess it possibly would work. But however, there's the addendum to the Merwry Ceiling Fan video. 35 bucks on clearance at Home Depot, and you know, customer service came through sending replacement parts. They understood the problem. No fuss. Thanks for watching.